pleasure to be here. This is, how to perfect your elevator speech. To me, this is like, that could be everything. As I'll say in the presentations, a really great elevator speech can be the cornerstone of your entire marketing program. And so, as most of you probably know, the elevator speech or elevator pitch came from, so you get into the bottom floor of the elevator, somebody asks you what you do, then you describe what you do by the time you get to the top floor. So, in this market, we got to be really succinct because we don't have very tall buildings, so you got to do it pretty quickly. So, in terms of creating an elevator speech, first of all, you got to be sure that that people understand what you do. We so often, and I'm not commenting on anybody's elevator speeches today, but when you go to a networking event, so often people tell you, they talk about what they do and how they do it, and sometimes, you walk away and you don't understand. The point of a really good elevator pitch or speech is, so if you're talking to me, either I might say, that's what I need, or I need Mary Kay. Oh, I need some skincare. Or, gosh, I can think of somebody who might need you. So that's why it's so important to have a really good perfected elevator speech. So whoever you're talking to can know in literally a couple of seconds what it is that you can do, so they can then refer you on. That's the whole point. It also really helps you clearly communicate who you're looking for. You got to communicate who it is that you work for and who you help, not just what you do or what your title is, but it needs to be, for example, if you can describe a little bit about who your ideal client is, then people's ears either perk up thinking, that's me or my sister-in-law or my husband, or gosh, it's somebody that I know, or their ears don't perk up because they're not an ideal client. And we all know what it's like to work with somebody who's not an ideal client. It's not a lot of fun. A third grader needs to understand what it is that you do. That's really the most important part. Sometimes we get so complicated in describing what we do that nobody really gets it. And so this is the point. This is what I always say, that I have a third grader. My son needs to understand what it is and parrot back what you do, and then you've got it. So, and as I said, it can be the good cornerstone of your entire marketing message. You got to be able to say it. It depends. For example, so here, when there really is an exercise of giving your elevator speech, you've got a little bit longer. At some of our networking events, we have up to a minute, sometimes 2 minutes. Sometimes you're just at a reception or you're at a dinner party and you've got to give just kind of the first part of it. So you've got to have a couple different versions. For example, here also, it's really important, I think, to start with your name and the name of your business. And I also like when people add their website address, quite frankly, these days. That's a really good thing to add. And then, you might give an abbreviated version of what it is that you do. And I'm going to walk you through. I actually have a sort of structure of one today. So we're going to walk through it, and you guys get to perfect your elevator speeches sitting right here before we go. But then at the end, again, to remember to name your name and the name of your company. And in an environment like this, it's also really good to say a good referral, and many of you did that today, a good referral for me is blah, 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 blah. Because that helps people think about, okay, who do I know that I could then refer that person to? So, first of all, I just want to pass out. Sorry, I should have done this when I started. I'll get them this way, so you don't have to take notes. This isn't my formula. I learned it, and I can't remember where I got it, but quite a few years ago from somebody else that I had been working with. This may not be exactly right for you. It is a formula, all right? And what I'd love for you to do is to play with me a little bit today and work with me on the formula, and then you can make it yours, okay? So it doesn't, you'll see everybody doesn't want their speech to sound like everybody else's. But here's the formula, and I'm going to go through this. I'm going to share my elevator speech with you. Up here, you'll get to see it, and I'll read through it. And then I'm going to have you all work on probably just the first paragraph. So the first part of an elevator speech is, so I work with or I help. Is there enough of those, by the way?
You know what, Mandy? We're 2 left, and I think we're good.
Oh, good. All right. Okay, perfect.
You did it perfectly.
Oh, my God. I love to be perfect. All right. So I work with or I help. You can say I work with or I help. And then you insert your ideal client, who your ideal client is, whoever they are. So It might be women, it might be, it might be, and the more specific that you can get, the better off that you are. Who struggle with, and you can either say struggle with, or challenged with, or need. Sometimes when I do this, people don't like the word struggle, so use your own word. And would like to, and then you're going to insert what results. Okay, what results they would like to get. So instead of starting out saying, I'm a business coach, or I'm a financial planner, you really start out with, it's a little bit of a story. I help this group of people who struggle with or are challenged with these sets of issues and want to get these kind of results. So the second part is, what separates my services from other, whatever your competitor, whatever you are, your competitors, so other, in my example, other business coaches, is, and you insert what's unique about what it is that you do. And there is something unique about what all of you do. And you have to know what that is. And you also should be talking about that, this is sort of as an aside, you should be talking about that whenever you're talking to a potential client. Because it's always the question that's in the back of their mind. Why should I hire you over, we have several coaches here, for example, why hire me over you, over you, over you? Everybody, we're all unique, and we probably serve very different our ideal clients are probably not the same, some overlap. So insert the thing that makes you different, or things, if there's a couple of things. And because of this, what do your clients receive? So in the oranges, then you insert, what are your motivators? What's your claim? And then you might want to add, would you like to know more? So let me share mine. And it's, I don't know if you can see it, I'm probably standing right in there. So I work with bright, talented, high energy, self-employed professionals and small businesses who struggle to market themselves effectively, stretch their capacity, and play a bigger game, and who would like to overcome their fear of sales, increase their self-confidence, and need a step-by-step strategy to help them take their business to the next level. Okay, that's the first paragraph. So what separates my services from other business coaches is my unique ability to connect with people, see their strengths, and help them reach their full potential. I also have a knack for not only seeing people for who they are, but who they can be. My clients receive proven step-by-step strategies, or usually step-by-step information on what they need to do to get more clients and grow their businesses. As a result, those who work with me increase their business, get more clients, and make more money faster than they live on their own. Would you like to know more? Yes. So that's fine. You have my card with you already. Call me. But that's different than if I just said, I'm Mandy Schumaker, hire before me people, I'm a business coach, I work with. It's a lot more, so hopefully some of you could think about, whether that's you or whether, but that's what you want. You want people to say, yes, that's me, I need you, or gosh, I know somebody who should be working with you. All right? So what I'd love to do is to take, and we probably won't take 10 or 15 minutes, but I'd like to just start with the first paragraph. We're not going to do the whole thing, but to model yourself, and we're going to do some examples. Those are going to brave enough to sort of share what they have, because I'd like to critique it a little bit to help you get at least the first paragraph. So that's the, let me go back here. So the I work with, or I help, and insert who it is that you're working with. And then who, and again, if you don't like the word struggle, that's fine. Put your own word in there, but who struggle with. But here, let me just say one thing about the word struggle. What you want, and this is true, I'll give you a little testimonial tip as well. What you want in a good testimonial, for example, is for people to talk about their before story. So before working with Judy, I struggled with blah, 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 blah. After I was at the Da Vinci, I got blah, 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 blah. You want people to identify with the before story. So when you have this as, people who struggle with overcoming a fear of sales, getting more clients, making more money. That's who my clients are. That's what they say they get from me. This isn't my language, it's their language. So that's why I like to use the word struggle, because everybody does struggle with something. So go ahead and take a couple of minutes, if you would, and just write out. We'll just start with the first paragraph, and I'll have people, if you want to go to the second one, that's fine too. And then I'm going to have a couple people share if they would, and I'll help you out. But it is really important that you try to niche down, or that you have a really good idea of who your ideal client is, and that you can almost make a profile or an avatar of who that is. The more you know about who your ideal client is, and the more clear you are on that, and and the more clear you can be with others, a lot easier it will be for people to refer people to you. Like I'm going to use Catherine for example. She, her, not that she wouldn't take cool men, but she's really honed in on women. And so that's helpful to know that, oh yeah, if there's somebody that I know that's a woman, I mean, I can just remember that. So the more that you're clear on who your ideal client is, and you can describe them, that, and even talk to them about, okay, before working with me, what did you struggle with? After working with me, what results did you get? You want to put their language in your marketing materials, in your elevator pitches, because that way you'll pull in more ideal, yummy clients. Like, don't interview somebody that you didn't like to work with, because you don't want any more of those. You want the ones that you really do like to work with, and more that you want in your business or your practice.
Mandy, would you say that again? Before working with me, what did
before working? Yeah, so that's how I do testimonials. So before working with me, what were the things, or I'll just say, give me 3 things that you were struggling with. After working with me, what were the results? Give me 3 results. I might write it out, but I sort of have a little template that says before working with.
Yeah, no, I like that. Yeah.
And that way, because again, then get that out, and use that use their language, not your language about what you do, because that's not. It's just it never works. It never works. It's the language that's your, again, ideal, the clients that you love to work with, all your A clients, not your F clients. But what they say about working with you, what the results were that they experienced with you. That's then the kinds of phrases and words that you then put in your marketing materials and your elevator pitches and all that kind of stuff. So who would, I don't want to run out of time, who would like to volunteer? Great, yeah, go ahead.
I'm trying to read my notes.
I know, that's always the problem. Now wait till I get done with you, you'll never be able to.
Oh God. I work with homeowners who struggle with designing and choosing ways to decorate their windows, and who would like to work with an expert that will guide them through the overwhelming choices in the home improvement process. What separates my services
Stop, I'm sorry, go back, read that one, let's do the first paragraph first. My brain can only hold so much.
I work with homeowners who struggle with designing and choosing ways to decorate.
Okay, think about a 3rd grader, homeowners. Is there another word for it? Anybody can jump in. Not like
house? No. Oh, homeowner.
Everyday people.
Is it just homeowners, or what about condominium, or what about people who are in apartments, or?
Okay.
I mean, I'm just asking.
Yeah,
could it just be? I mean, could it just be on a boat? Could it just be people? Could it just be people? Because I mean, if you're only with homeowners, that's fine. But I did hear you earlier say you do boats and all that. So I just would say people, because you're pretty broad around that. Okay, so go ahead. I work with people.
I work with people who struggle with designing and choosing ways to decorate their windows, and who would like to work with an expert that will guide them through the overwhelming choices in the home improvement process. Or in the, I'll see.
Living space.
I added a who would.
So they struggle with, they're struggling right now with being overwhelmed, right?
There's too much out there, it's too confusing.
Okay, so you might just want to say, I work with people who are overwhelmed. I mean, this is what I mean about changing this up so it works for you. Who are overwhelmed, what are they overwhelmed with?
All the choices that are out there.
To do what?
To either decorate their window or trying to be energy efficient. And there's there's form and function, and I separate them out.
Okay, so you work with people who struggle with, or who are overwhelmed with the number of, with choosing ways. And go ahead, to
decorate their windows.
Yeah, and would like to, what they'd like to have.
And who would like to work with an expert that will guide them through the overwhelming choices.
Good, all right.
To put it in improvement, just overwhelming choices.
Yeah. What do you think of that? Is that like more clear about what it is that she does and who she helps? Okay, did you do the extra credit?
And then what separates my services from other retail stores and designers is my 29 years of hands-on experience in education. I am a master seamstress and a designer. And because of this,
I would just say that my 29 years as a master seamstress and a designer.
Okay.
You had some other words in there,
Right.
just simplify.
And because of this, my clients receive the best and most objective direction to make their home reflect their personality and lifestyle.
Okay, well, just one suggestion, because I'm not sure I can help you with this, but ask some of your clients, since you've been doing this a long time, ask some of the clients what are the results that they get from you.
Oh,
and
good.
put their language in there. Because I did understand what you were saying, but that's your language.
Yeah, I know.
And so
I talk too much.
Yeah, and so put their language in there. Great, thank you so much, great job.
Thanks.
Who else would like to, yeah?
I help men and women who are experiencing a change in their sexual orientation as adults, who are struggling through their fear of rejection and inner chaos that can consume them, and the sentence structure is not good,
That's right.
that can consume them, and they would like to live a life living true to who they are.
And who would like to live a life that's true
And
to
who
who
would,
they are?
and
Just-
who would
I'm
like to
just
live a
shortening
life.
it.
And then who, yep,
That's great, I love what you do, this is great.
thank you.
Good, did you do the second part of it? That's
No,
good.
I didn't get that far.
That's great, that's great. That's
Is that
great.
okay?
Yeah, and
Okay.
again, if you have a question about, like the motivators and how to, ask your clients, ask your ideal clients, what do I do for you? Let's go home today and send a couple emails. Hey, I'm redoing some of my marketing materials. I just need a couple phrases from a great client. I want more of you. You're so yummy. Tell me a couple things, and then you can jump. You can put that in there. I'll take one more. Anybody want to try one more? Yeah.
I help people looking to live a long and healthy life who struggle with designing and implementing a fitness program and would like to show people how to first move well so they can then move more often.
Wait, stop and think. Do your clients struggle with putting together a fitness program or sticking with it? I'm just asking.
Yes.
Yes.
But
But is it about because they can't put the fitness program together or because they just can't do any of it? They struggle with the real struggle is around what?
not knowing what to do to help improve their fitness.
Yeah. Say that. Say that. And again, I'd also encourage you to talk to some of your clients about like what in their language, why did they first seek you out? Or you met them somewhere, what attracted them to, I don't mean that, but what attracted them to working with you? All right, and I said, so give the sentence to me one more time.
I help people looking to live a long, healthy life who struggle with designing and implementing a fitness program and would like to show people how to first move well so they can then move more often.
Is your ideal client somebody who's already in fairly good shape or not?
No.
They're not. I mean, I'm just asking, is your ideal client somebody who is in fairly good shape and wants to tweak that? Or is it somebody who hasn't had an exercise program in 20 years and wants to get started?
I would say right in between there. So,
Your ideal client is different than your most common client. She's asking what you want.
What do you want? Yeah, that's exactly right. Thank you. What would you like to have more of? Which client? The perfect client for you is somebody who
is bored with their exercise program or like something new.
perfect.
Good.
See how that just, didn't we all get that? Put that in there. That's great. That's great. Thank you. Thank you. So let me just get my screen back to where I was. So feel free, I just want to end it, feel free to make this your own. Again, you don't, just like, it's sort of like writing if any way you did selling over the phone, like you get your script and then you use it a little bit and then you make it your own. But make it your own, but really try to use this model. I will tell you that I have futzed with this model. This was not the exact model I got. I have futzed with it for a very long time. And it does work. And I have lots of clients who use it, again, they've made it their own, but they use it and it works because the whole point of it is, and memorize it. Stand in front of the mirror and memorize this thing. Because what you want is for people, right, you saw it happen here when someone tweaked it a little bit, you could tell in their energy, like this is what I want. It's very different in their energy when they say, this is who I help, or this is who I want to help. Because click, boom, it's like when you're sort of off, you know, and then when they get it, it's like, then you start pulling in the people that you want to work with. Yeah, okay, yeah, but be sure that you remember the essence. Remember, because as I said, there's a mechanical way of why I have this structured the way that it is structured. So don't get like too far off the mark. And if you have any questions, feel free to call me. I'm happy to help you if you want to send me a quick email and say, what do you think about this? I'm happy to take a look at it and sort of make some suggestions on anybody. I have a sort of a postcard, it's like a bigger postcard. All my information is on there. Any questions that I can answer for anybody on that?
Just a point of clarity as a life coach, and a lot of clients I work with who are starting a business, because I work with a lot of energetic professional women, when they talk about their elevator speeches and memorizing it, they get panicky. So we talk about getting so comfortable with it, you could say it easily, but allow yourself some flexibility to adjust to the situation. Because they get really freaked out when they think, oh, what if I mess up and I miss a word? That's okay.
Absolutely.
Know it cold, but don't punish yourself if you don't get it exactly.
Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you for that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Great comment. Anything else? Oh, sorry.
As a product-based business, do I still say I?
You still say what?
I?
You could say we. What would you feel more comfortable in saying?
Well, I didn't know if it becomes a my company or
Or if I said to you, what is it, you know, so what do you do? Nice to meet you. What do you do? You're going to say I. You're not going to say my company. I mean, you could say my company if you want. I think it's more personal, to be honest with you, when you say I. It's that you connect better with somebody, I think. Yeah, Kat?
All right, so Mandy,
Oh, here we go.
no?
I only have a couple more minutes, right? Second.
Just a quick question though, on starting an elevator speech where, you know, I read half say start it with I, other half say don't start it with I, because it immediately becomes, even though, so any thoughts around that?
I've used this one forever, and I don't think there's one right way to do it. I think whatever you're most comfortable with, because I think that if you're not comfortable saying I, it's going to show in your energy and your body language, so don't do it. Find a way to make it so it's comfortable. If there's another, you know, if you subscribe to that, or then use what you want to use. I don't think that there's one right way, but I think the best way is, what's most important is getting those phrases that your ideal clients use about describing working with you before they did and after. That is like the key piece of getting those phrases in there.
Yeah. I was just going to say, in regards to that, I think that when they say don't start with I, it's because you don't want to dominate a conversation like you don't care about the other person. So a good way to get around that is if you go to a networking event, say, what do you do? And then they're going to tell you, and then they're not going to know what else to say. So what about you? And then you can start with I, and it's not.
The other piece to that is that most of the time when they say don't start with I is because people start in with I and they talk about what they do and how they do it. This is all about the client. This is all about them. I mean, you start it with I, but the rest of that whole thing is about them. So, you know, the ones when your eyes glaze over as well, I do this and I've done that and I'm such and such a partner at this, blah, 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 blah. That makes it all about I.
Yeah.
This, I don't think is about, you start with the word I, but it quickly becomes about everybody else. Great question. Thank you all very much. Okay, all right.
I just have one quick question. We always struggle with the amount of time. Give me the short version, because we're going around the table and we don't have a lot of time. Yet what you're helping us with is really more detail so that people know what it is we do. Do you have any way to address that? In other words, are you saying you design the short version, and then when people come up to ask you more, you give them the longer version?
Yeah, so good question. So I belong to a couple networking groups. One of them I have 2 minutes to stand, like sort of in this structure, I have 2 minutes to stand up. I'll do the whole thing. I mean, I do different things, but I will do the whole thing. Where I have 30 seconds or a minute at other ones, I might just give the first paragraph. Okay. Yeah, good question. That's where I start. Or if somebody asks me, you know, at a dinner party or whatever, I typically just give the first. And if they'll say, really, what, you know, then I'll talk more about what I do. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate it.